"You're not the same mom to Sarah that you were to me and Katie," said my 17-year-old daughter, Amber. I froze. I knew it would happen sometime, but so soon? I had been preparing my defense against the old "you ruined my life" argument for years. I knew that Amber couldn't say a thing to me that I hadn't already said to myself. I thought I was ready, but now that the talk loomed before me, I wasn't sure I could do it. I figured my big girls would be much older before they knew how badly I had messed up their lives. Her point, however, was valid. Sarah came along when I was in my 30s, a more mature mother to be sure. I was happily married. I had by that time knowledge of what a 401k was, as well as how an orgasm felt. My job was now considered a career, so when Sarah was born, 11 years after Amber and 13 years after Katie, I already knew I was a different mom. In contrast, Katie and Amber's childhood was very different. I had married their father at the age of 18 and had them both by the time I was 20. Their dad was often absent, and ultimately we divorced. Money was tighter than the pre-pregnancy blue jeans I had illusions of fitting back into. It wasn't unusual to have my utilities cut off for non-payment. We had PB&J more often than I care to admit. We moved 3 times in 5 years. Heck, at one point, we didn't even own a car for a year. In addition to all of that, I was young and still very social. I frequently hung out with my friends, kids in tow. There were parties and poker games, movie nights and game nights, camping trips and float trips. Our weekends were predetermined. Having to work on Saturday with no daycare available, my girls came with me. And Sundays were generally reserved for my least favorite place, the laundromat. Well, of course I felt guilty. I knew my big girls had grown up through some rough times. Financial hardship, divorce, instability, that was their playground. The time had come to pay the piper, but I wasn't going down without a fight. "Well, Amber," I began, "you know Sarah's life isn't all rainbows and unicorns." There, I said it. I was fully prepared to assert my claim that Sarah, too, had experienced hardship. I mean, sometimes we ran out of cherry Kool-Aid. And she often misplaced one of her pink cowboy boots, and then there was her favorite doll whose hair no longer turned from pink to purple when she dried it. Oh, it was weak, but it was all I had. Then Amber caught me by surprise. "I know, Mom, that's what I'm saying. I feel sorry for Sarah. She doesn't have the cool mom that me and Katie had." Wait, what? This didn't follow the script that had played out in my head for so long. I wasn't sure what to say, so I didn't say anything. Amber continued. "When we were little, you had so much energy. We were always going out with your friends. You were the young mom and even wore cool clothes. Poor Sarah, now you're old and you wear, well, mom clothes. You never have parties anymore. Those Halloween costume parties you used to have were a blast." Okay, so maybe I didn't screw them up too badly with my overactive social life. "Remember when the electricity got turned off and you'd light candles and we'd tell ghost stories? That was almost as fun as the time the heat was shut off and we had a pajama party at Grandma's house." And you know, one of my favorite dinners even today is PB&J in the living room. Sarah never gets to do any of that kind of stuff. Okay, so maybe they weren't permanently scarred because of my pressing financial troubles. "Sarah has never lived anywhere but here, and you guys will probably never move. I like that we got to live other places. My favorite was the flat with the clawfoot bathtub when Aunt Pammy lived with us." My panic was starting to wane. Could it be that my daughter somehow elicited happy memories from the very same events I worried so much about? "The best, though," said Amber, "were the weekends. We loved going to work with you on Saturdays, roller skating around the warehouse. That was a blast. And the laundromat. You always let us pick out a treat and split a soda, remember? I loved putting the dollars in the change machine. Me and Katie would stack up all those quarters. We thought we were rich." Wow, how far off can a mother be? My girls found happy memories during a time of adversity. Maybe we were rich. All these years I was feeling guilty instead of looking at it through their eyes. This was, after all, their childhood. That day my guilt shifted. Turns out my best was good enough for Katie and Amber, but now what about Sarah? I wasn't cool or hip. She wasn't allowed to have peanut butter every night. She had no clue how to play poker. After a recent family vacation, I was loading dirty laundry into my minivan to take to the laundromat, get it all done at once. It had probably been a year since we'd been there last, but Sarah remembered it well. "Mommy, can I pick out a treat from the machine when we get there?" "Of course," I replied. "Will you split a soda with me?" "You got it," I said. "And can I put the dollars in?" "I wouldn't have it any other way," I smiled. She wouldn't sit still. What in the world is the matter, I asked her. I just love the laundromat, Mommy. It's one of my favorite places. Who knows if Sarah will remember anything from that family vacation, but I do know one thing. The hours spent at the laundromat will be a favorite memory. To me, the laundromat represented financial hardship and loads of grueling work. I now have a new perspective because I know the time spent there were happy memories for these 3 girls who now band together to feel sorry for their 2 younger sisters, Jaden and Raina, who got stuck with the really, really old mom. So there you have it. After 5 daughters and 30 years of motherhood, I'm just too tired to carry around a load of guilt that serves no purpose. Besides, I'd much rather use these arms to carry around my new baby grandson, Dexter.